Shalom to the 12 tribes, all praise to the Most High, Yahweh, Ba'ashem HaMashiach Yahweh Shai, which is the name of the Father and the Son in the Paleo Hebrew tongue. So today I'm going to do a quick live lesson that's going to be titled, It's Time to Stop Dressing Lascivious and Get Covered, right? So there's many people that may have seen the video that I posted up on my Instagram. It was just three examples of three women either getting assaulted, attempted kidnapping, or raped, attempted raped, etc. Right now, a lot of people had a lot of things to say about it, and we're just going to let the scripture speak on the whole situation and on being lascivious or being modest in general, right? So we're going to start in First Corinthians chapter 6 and verse 9. It says, Know ye not that the unrighteous shall not inherit the kingdom of Yahweh? Be not deceived, neither fornicators, nor idolaters, nor adulterers, nor effeminate, nor abusers of themselves with mankind, nor thieves, nor covetous, nor drunkards, nor revelers, nor extortioners shall inherit the kingdom of the Most High. Right? So I'm bringing this out to particularly zero in on adulterers, right? Nor adulterers shall inherit the kingdom of the Most High, right? Lonnie Love, Shabbat Shalom, sis. Shar Shabbat. I hope y'all are all having a good, peaceful Sabbath through the spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, right? So First Corinthians, the 6th chapter says that adulterers will not make it into the kingdom of heaven, right? They will not inherit the kingdom of heaven. So now let's go over to Matthew chapter 23 and verse 26. It says, Matthew 24 and 21. Matthew 24 and 21. It says, For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. So why am I bringing out these two scriptures first, and what does it have to do with dressing lascivious? What it has to do with it is that mainly sisters in the comments and even in DMs, but even a few brothers um, were messaging me regarding the video, right? Or the videos that were played. And the majority of the ones against it are saying two things, right? Either number one, or A, it's not lascivious to be wearing tights, okay? And B, that it's the man's fault no matter what the woman is wearing, because they should learn how to control themselves, etc. Right? And I agree with it in a sense, right? But what we all have to understand is that, like it says here in Matthew 24 and 21, there's going to be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, nor ever shall be. Right? So if we're already seeing this type of stuff happen, and we've been seeing this type of stuff happen, and like I was telling the brother earlier, this is just three quick examples, right? What most people don't realize is this happens every day, every hour, in every city, every state, every country. This type of thing is happening, and we're already seeing it. So, what's up, Bart? So this is going to continue to happen and to get worse and worse and worse as the times progress and as we go even deeper into Jacob's trouble, right? So the reason I'm bringing up that nobody that is an adulterer will make it into the kingdom of heaven, right? Is because when women dress immodestly, that is them suffering sin upon a man, right? So if we go to Leviticus 19 and 17, right? Because some brothers or sisters or men or women will say, well, there's no law that says you have to dress you can't dress in a sexually provocative manner, right? This is Leviticus 19 and 17. It says, Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thine heart. Thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor and not suffer sin upon him, right? So what we have to understand, or what women have to understand is that you are suffering sin upon a man by dressing in a lascivious way, right? And we'll get into what lascivious means in just a second. But basically, it means to attract attention to yourself in a sexual manner, right? And now I don't care what anybody says, women in tights is going to cause a man to look at her and think of her and lust after her in a sexually provocative manner, right? Because what do tights leave up to the imagination? Nothing, right? It shows every curve, shows every crack and crevice of a woman's body in her private area. And some women will think that that's modest, right? But would you wear that in front of Yahweh Shai or in front of Yahweh, showing all your underwear line and all these types of things? I doubt you would, right? Unless you're not in the spirit. So this is Matthew chapter 5 and verse 28. It says, "But I say unto you that whosoever looketh on a woman to lust after her hath committed adultery with her already in his heart." So any man that's looking after a married woman, which we know the majority of these women, according to the scriptures, are married, right, are committing adultery, which is also breaking a command, right? Thou shalt not commit adultery with her in his heart. So for women, right, you can't, or you are suffering sin upon many men just by not dressing modestly, right? And when you really think about it, it's one of the easiest things to do. It's like people have asked me many times, what do you think is the easiest command to keep? One of them, I say, the majority of the times is growing out your beard, right? You just don't have to cut it. But then also it would be like just wearing fringes, which for a man, I mean, you just have fringes put on your clothes, right? But then for a woman, you have the clothes, and that's one of the hardest things for them to do, right? And the reason why it's one of the hardest things for them to do is because they have been conformed to the world, right? As a matter of fact, let me go to Romans chapter 12 and verse 2. Romans chapter 12 and 2, it says, "And be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good, that acceptable and perfect will of the Most High." So it says, don't be conformed to the world. So when the world, when you go out in the world, me and my oldest daughter were talking about this the other day, because we went to, she came with me to Corpus, or to a city far away, or a little farther down, or up north in Texas with me to work. And when we went to the store, and it's just like, man, everywhere we look, of course, she's in a skirt and she's got fringes, she's got her ribbon on and stuff like that, her modest apparel. And everywhere we look, it's like, okay, short shorts, okay, a chick in her just walking around in her bra, okay, super short, just showing all types of skin everywhere you look, right? I remember we were coming out of an aisle. To the left, there was one chick dressed lascivious. Straight ahead, there was one dressed lascivious. We looked to the right, there's another one, and I was like, man. She just looked at me like, dang, you know what I mean? Because these women are being conformed to the world, and what happens is, subconsciously, a lot of women think that this is okay. Like, oh, okay, I see it all the time, right? They're being conditioned to think that it's okay. But what did the scripture say? It says, "But be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind," right? So you have to transform your mind from, okay, the whole world is dressed like this, showing their skin, showing their breasts and their thighs and their butt and all of these things. You have to transform from, no, that's not okay, because the scriptures say this. And that's how you renew your mind, through the Spirit of the Most High, right? And it says that ye may prove what is that good, that acceptable, and perfect will of the Most High, right? So for a man, going back to what I was saying, right? Because a lot of women and even men, or a couple men that were agreeing with these women, say, well, it's nothing but the man's fault, and it's this, that, and the other. So this is Proverbs 6 and 32. It says, "But whoso committeth adultery with a woman lacketh understanding. He that doeth it destroyeth his own soul." So it says he destroys his own soul. So I agree in a sense with some of the women that are saying, well, a man should know how to control himself and this, that, and the other. Yes, he should. But like we just read, and like our Hamashiach Yahushai, our Messiah said in Matthew 24, times are going to get worse and worse and worse. So you read Second Ezra 14, 15, 16, and it says the same thing. Times and men are going to get worse and worse and worse. All throughout the scriptures, you hear about this. So you have to understand that that means a lot of people are filled with evil spirits. Most people are filled with evil spirits, right? So they are not going to be able to control themselves when spirits or demons are controlling them, right? So yes, a man, like it says in Proverbs 6:32, he destroys his own soul by committing adultery with a woman, whether it be in his mind or whether he's over here trying to kidnap or sexually assault or sex traffic a woman. But what about you, right? You have to control yourself. Philippians 2:12, you have to work out your own salvation, right? So you should be worrying about what you can do in order to be safe. You should be worrying about what you can do in order to get right with the Most High, right? Not oh well, this person this and they should that, right? Because in the end, dressing lascivious, you are not going to make it into the kingdom of heaven. So this is Galatians chapter 5 and verse 19. It says, now the works of the flesh are manifest. So it's talking about you have the fruits of the spirit and you have the works of the flesh, right? The fruits of the spirit is what we need to be moving in order to be walking in the spirit and the power of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. So Galatians 5:19, it says, now the works of the flesh are manifest, which are these: adultery, right? The first one it says is adultery, which it could be spiritual adultery, right? Cheating on the Most High, serving other gods, etc. Or it could be physical adultery, right? Sexual, or it could be in our minds, like Yahushua said in Matthew the 5th chapter, right? Which is what women are causing these men to do. Then it says fornication, uncleanness, lasciviousness, right? So it says one of the works of the flesh is lasciviousness. When a woman is dressing half naked, when she's taking pictures from up top to show her breasts, when she's turning sideways or backwards so she could be posting her pictures of her backside, right? These are all lascivious things. Anytime you are causing someone to look at you in a sexual manner, that is lascivious, right? When you got girls twerking and all these other types of wicked things, this is all lasciviousness. Verse 20, it says idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, variance, emulations, wrath, strife, seditions, heresies. 21, envyings, murders, drunkenness, revelings, and such like, of the which I tell you before, as I have also told you in time past, that they which do such things shall not inherit the kingdom of the Most High. So anybody doing these things, it clearly says here, Galatians 5:19 through 21, are not going to inherit the kingdom of the Most High. So you really got to ask yourself, right? And I've told many women, many sisters this before. You really got to ask yourself, what's more important to you, dressing lasciviously or making it into the kingdom of heaven? Right? Showing your body on social media or out in public in the real world, or having a chance at making it into the kingdom of heaven. To me, that's a no-brainer. That's an easy choice, right? And I'm sure a lot of sisters, a lot of women would say that's an easy choice as well, right? But what it comes down to is where your heart's really at, right? Because you could say one thing, but your actions are going to show how you actually feel about it, right? And as a matter of fact, let's go to 23, Matthew 23 and 26. This is Matthew 23 and 26. It says, thou blind Pharisee, cleanse first that which is within the cup and platter, that the outside of them may be clean also. Right? So in the end, A woman's mind is going to have to get cleaned, or is going to have to get renewed through the spirit for her to start changing her outward appearance the majority of the time, right? But you also have to keep in mind, like it says in 2 Corinthians 11:14, even Satan can be disguised as an angel of light. I've met certain sisters with their head wraps and their dresses and their fringes and all of these things, and they portray themselves to be Proverbs 31, Titus 2 women, and then you come to find out that they're not, right? But the majority of the time, it's like Yahweh Shai said right here, you have to cleanse the inside so that the outside could be cleansed too. Because when a woman is really convicted in the mind and in the spirit, then she's going to be like, okay, you know what? I can't dress like this anymore. It just doesn't feel right. The Most High is going to put the spirit on her to be walking not only spiritually in a more modest manner, but also physically in a more modest manner, because she's going to feel it in her spirit that she needs to do so, right? So let's go to First Timothy chapter 2 and verse 9. This is First Timothy 2 and 9. It says, in like manner also that women adorn themselves or costly array, right? So in like the even though right, leggings, what else they call them, spats, spandex, whatever you want to call them, that is not modest apparel. Jeans that are so tight, man, there's nothing modest about these things. There's nothing modest about a short dress, a short skirt, right? You have certain sisters that claim to be in the truth, etc., and they have dresses or skirts on so tight that you can see their whole figure as well. There's nothing modest about that either. Showing your breasts, there's nothing modest about that, right? And modesty doesn't have to do with just your apparel. Even though this says you are supposed to adorn yourself in modest apparel, it's also a spirit you have to carry yourself in, right? A covered spirit you have to carry yourself in. Because there's women that dress that way, but then they're out here, whether it be on social media or in the world. I've seen a few sisters trying to teach in public, right? Through YouTube and social media. Some brothers have brought to my attention that is not a modest spirit, right? But going back to the whole dressing, dressing in modest apparel is going to be a protection in itself from the things to come, right? As a matter of fact, let's go to Isaiah 13 and 16. Probably just going to get a couple more precepts, and then I see a sister, right? I see a sister has a question. I'll get to it in just a second. So this is Isaiah 13 and 16. Um, this is the desolation or the destruction of Babylon. Okay, so this is what's going to come very soon to so-called America. This is Isaiah 13 and 16. Their children also shall be dashed to pieces before their eyes. Their houses shall be spoiled and their wives ravished. So ravished meaning raped, right? It is prophesied that this is going to happen in these end times. And what women are doing, or what women are going to be doing in that those days and are already doing now, is putting a big old target on their back, right? Oh, Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai Barakatah. Hope all is well with you. Like the brother said here, or modest dressing, but posing with their peach out, right? With their booty all out. So they dress in so-called modest apparel, and you could you could see this almost on a daily basis if you're following the wrong people, right? I've even seen so-called brothers, leaders, teachers, elders with their wives, and their wives are standing sideways. Yeah, they got a dress on, but they're trying to pop their butt out, right? Like Gangstar said, she ain't really got it. I'll digress on that, right? So, like it says in Isaiah 13:16, it says their wives will be ravished. A lot of women are going to be raped in these days. I remember a couple years back, I had posted, it was like an article or it was like a news story where there was some dude in California and he was paying people their locations through Snapchat because there's a way you could see people's locations on Snapchat, right? He would look through a bunch of Snapchats, whatever the case may be, and the dude was like a multi-millionaire or maybe a billionaire, right? Out of California, and he was getting their locations, and then he was paying people to go and kidnap them and then bring them to him, right? So you have to understand everything that you're posting on social media to you sisters, to you females, right? There is not just the people around you seeing this, right? There's hundreds or thousands or even millions of people seeing this, and all you're doing is putting a huge target on your back. Not just for men, right? But also for these and these to an extent right now, right? So this is Sirach chapter 39, Sirach or Ecclesiasticus 39 and verse 28. It says, there be spirits that are created for vengeance. What is vengeance? It's revenge, right? When you don't follow the Most High's word, when you want to push his word off to the side and act like it's not true, and act like you don't have to follow it for whatever reason, there's going to be vengeance that comes upon you. There's going to be punishments. There's going to be curses that have to happen to you because his word is true, right? It says, there be spirits that are created for vengeance, which in their fury lay on sore strokes. That in their fury, they're going to lay on those punishments, right? In the time of destruction, they pour out their force and appease the wrath of him that made them. So that wrath, that recompense, and that vengeance has to come upon you. And guess what? It appeases the Most High to punish those who deserve punishment, right? And these are the times that we're coming into. There's spirits created for vengeance. There's also newly created spirits, right? So all the things like we read in Matthew 24, all the things that are happening now aren't even going to pale in comparison to all the things that are going to come to pass in the days to come, right? So I'm gonna go up and answer. I know there was a question real quick, and then I'll probably close it out. This was just a quick live. Tomorrow, most high willing, I'm gonna do another live. Most likely with the brother on here, and it'll be a little bit longer, going over a couple things that have been happening the last few weeks in my life and his life, and just quick testimonies with scriptures and stuff of that nature. Jessica Scott, are you prepared materialistically? I worry that I want to get stuff, but what if I have to move and end up leaving everything? When you finish, just asking. So, without getting into too much detail, me and my household do prepare physically as well, right? And there's certain things that are more necessary than others, right? But first and foremost, and I'm not saying that you're not, right? But first and foremost, the number one way to prepare is by getting right with the Most High, right? By starting to follow his laws, statutes, commandments, precepts, by getting baptized for remission of sins in the name of Yahushai, right? Because like it says in Second Ezra, the 16th chapter, verse 75 and 76, and then 77, it says that if you are letting your iniquities or your iniquities and sins will weigh you down in those days, right? He's going to guide those who are keeping the commandments, the precepts, but your sins can weigh you down. And not being baptized for remission of sins is going to be something that can definitely weigh you down in those times, right? But preparing, growing your own food, having whether it be quail, chicken, goats, whatever the case may be, or even there's some bars that are kosher, that are vegan, that don't have nothing unlawful in them as well, that I'll go ahead and post up sometime this week when I have time. I'll post a few things that you or other brothers and sisters that aren't that expensive that you can use to prepare more physically, right? But just to sum up the video, right? First Timothy 2:9, it says you have to dress in modest apparel, right? Galatians 5:19 says that being lascivious and dressing in that way and attracting sexual attention towards you, you will not inherit the kingdom. Leviticus 19:17 says you are not supposed to suffer sin upon your brethren, right? Which is what you're doing when you cause a man to lust upon you. Because, like Yahushua said in Matthew 5:28, if a man lusts upon her, he's committing adultery in his heart, right? And this is what women are causing them to do. And they're actually causing men not to inherit the kingdom. Because 1 Corinthians 6:9 says adulterers won't inherit the kingdom of Yahweh, right? So the way to combat or get rid of all of these issues, the answer, the key to all of these things is what? It is to stop dressing lascivious and to be covered, right? And as a matter of fact, let me go back to Isaiah. I'll probably close out with this, right? Isaiah chapter 32 and verse 2, because being covered obviously can mean multiple things. You be covered by the Most High, you have his protection. Be covered physically by not dressing lascivious, having a skirt, a dress, etc., but also being covered by a man of the Most High. So this is Isaiah 32:2. It says, and a man shall be as a hiding place from the wind, a covert from the tempest, as rivers of water in a dry place, as the shadow of a great rock in a weary land. Right? So a man is going to be a hiding place from the wind, a cover from the tempest or the storms or the evils to come, like rivers of water in a dry place, right? In a desert land, like a shadow in a weary land. So I don't know if y'all, any of y'all have ever been to the beach and the sun's up above you, or it's real hot, 12 o'clock, or between maybe 11 and 4 or 5, and the sun just burning the sand, right? And you're walking barefoot and it just starts burning your feet, and you literally gotta run or do something to get your feet to stop burning, either pouring water on them or getting to some shade. That's how a man is going to be in the times to come, right? And most are willing, I'll do a quick lesson on that too as well, maybe sometime this week, right? That is how a man's going to be in the days to come. So let's go to Sirach, actually 36. Sirach chapter 36 and 24. He that getteth a wife beginneth the possession, a help like unto himself, and a pillar of rest. Where no hedge is, there the possession is spoiled. Right? So all three of these women that got assaulted or attempted kidnapping or maybe even raped, because one of them got dragged off the screen. We don't know what happened to her, right? All of that could have been avoided if she would have had a hedge of protection, right? It says, where no hedge is, there the possession is spoiled. The verse before says a wife is a possession, right? So that hedge, a hedge just represents a man protecting a woman, right? A husband is what a hedge is. Just like a hedge can protect a house, it goes all the way around the house. A man is supposed to protect his wife, right? So where no hedge is, there the possession is spoiled. Spoiled can mean robbed, spoiled can mean assaulted, spoiled can mean raped, right? When you don't have that hedge of protection, these are the types of things that happen. Even if he wasn't there physically, he could have said, look, no, you can't be out at night. That's not a good idea. He could have said, no, you shouldn't go run by yourself. That's not a good idea. He would have said, a man of the Most High would have said, no, you can't wear tights in public. Only I'm supposed to see that I'm your husband, right? There's so many ways that that situation could have been avoided. Me and another brother were talking about it as well. And there's more ways than even just that, right? Lonnie Love, I see some sisters who wear loose fitted pants. Is that still considered modest? So what do you think about that, sis? Do you think that's modest? I want to hear a woman's opinion before I just straight up just give you an answer, right? What do you think about that? What do you think about that, Daniela? I already know exactly how I feel about that. I see some sisters who wear loose fitted pants. So what's another word for pants? Let me ask that. Right, I'll give you a minute to answer real quick. And I'll give you a hint, right? One of my daughters said this a long time ago, and I'm sure maybe she heard it from me, maybe she heard it from her mom, whatever. But she said, "How or when have you ever seen?" Because my daughters, right, they grew up watching Disney movies and stuff like that when they were a lot younger. Okay, uh, and what one of them had said a long time ago was like, "When have you ever seen a princess wearing anything but a dress?" Right? I know their shape isn't showing, but it still gets me because it's pants. Con. That's the thing because it's pants, right? So what's another word? Let's go to Exodus, right? Let's go to Exodus 28. I believe it's like 40, 41. Exodus chapter 28 and 42. Okay? So back in the days, the word before pants that they used for pants was breeches. Okay, so this is Exodus chapter 28 and verse 42, right? 48 or 28 and 42. And thou shalt make them linen breeches to cover their nakedness from the loins even unto the thighs they shall reach, and they shall be upon Aaron and upon his sons when they come unto the tabernacle of the congregation, or when they come near unto the altar to minister in the high places, that they bear not iniquity and die. It shall be a statute forever unto him and his seed after him. Okay, so a couple things to get from here, and Khan. So the brother said, I'd say it's off since it's a man's garment, but I've seen brothers break down that precept means warrior attire, like armor and things like that. But yeah, I still think it's off. So Khan, my sentiments exactly, the water for the response. My sentiments exactly. If we read this one more time and then let's come back to the brother's answer, right? This is Exodus 28 and 42. It says, and thou shalt make them linen breeches to cover their nakedness. From the loins even unto the thighs they shall reach, and they shall be upon Aaron and upon his sons. Okay? Aaron and his sons, all men. So what are breeches? Right? Nowadays, or even back in the days, in the times of old, they would say, oh, like pull up your breeches, boy. Right? Every time you look at the word breeches in the Bible, and I believe it's less than a handful of times that it's brought up, it is pertaining to men, right? It's pertaining to men. And we know that Deuteronomy 22 and 5, it says you're not supposed to wear what pertains to the other sex, right? And actually, let me get it so I'm not just quoting it, right? So I've heard the same thing this brother said. I've heard certain men say, well, this is talking about warrior uh apparel or armor, things like that, like he said. But this was clearly not talking about a warrior's apparel when it said Aaron, right, and the priests, his sons, were to wear breeches, right? And it said forever, right? So this is Deuteronomy chapter 22 and verse 5. The woman shall not wear that which pertaineth unto a man, neither shall a man put on a woman's garment, for all that do so are abomination unto Yahweh thy power. Right? So that's pretty clear. A woman can't wear what pertains to a man. And when you look at the word breeches in the Bible or in the Hebrew, it's always pertaining to men. It seems pretty clear that then a woman should not be wearing breeches. right? But then the argument becomes, oh, well, these are actually women's pants, though, right? They're women's pants. They're not men's pants, etc. But the point is, they're still breeches. They're still pants, right? And I know that there's certain brothers. I know brothers that I'm cool with that even say, no, well, my rib can wear pants as long as they're loose, as long as this, that, and the other. And in the end, she answers that woman answers to her husband. There's nothing I would or can say about that in the first place, right? But my daughters, my three daughters, and my wife all wear modest apparel, skirts, dresses, etc. Right? Even when they work out, because I know a sister was saying, well, the sister was running, so that's why she was in tights. When my daughter, when my oldest daughter especially, she's the one who likes to work out and stuff, she'll like do some boxing with me or hip pads or jujitsu or whatever the case may be. She's working out. She wears tights and then she wears a workout skirt over it that goes down to like right past her knee. Right. So there's really no excuse when it comes to any of those things. Right. It like again, it's like Yahushua said, when you cleanse the inside, then it's gonna show outwardly. Right? It's like when you if you're watering a plant, it's gonna show outwardly because you're watering it. If you're giving it fertilizer and nutrients and compost, etc., right? You're not gonna be able to see it a lot of times because it's mixed in with the dirt. But when that fruit starts coming out, it's going to bear beautiful fruit, right? So it all starts inwardly and then comes out outwardly, obviously. And in reality, it's just something that a lot of women have a problem with because they have been conformed to the world, right? They have been conformed to the world. And in the end, like the scriptures say, a sinful man will not be reproved. And actually, let me get that real quick. We'll finish with that, right? Sirach 32 and 17. It says, a sinful man will not be reproved, but findeth an excuse according to his will. Right? So a sinful person, a lot of times when they're just full of sin, they're so full of it, you can't reprove them. You can't correct them. What are they going to do? They're going to find an excuse according to their own will. So a lot of these women, their will is for them to get attention. Their will is for them to feel better about themselves, showing their body and men looking at them like they want them. Right? And the Most High is over there like, okay, that's your reward. Right? It's like when the Pharisees and the chief elders, right, would pray in the synagogues in public. They wanted to be seen of men, right? And Yahushua said they have their reward. That's their reward. They want to be seen. Okay, that's their reward. It's the same thing with certain females that they just, in order to follow the Most High, they need to give up dressing and looking a certain way, and they're not willing to do it. So they'll find an excuse according to their own will, and they have their reward, right? Khan, I never felt right about it, but I always hear people saying it's okay. Khan, you're gonna have different breakdowns and different um, understandings, right? But in the end, there's only one interpretation of the scriptures, and that's as the scriptures are written. And most people just don't have, let's say, the correct understanding or discernment when it comes to certain things. And again, that's not to beat down any brothers or sisters that believe something differently. But when you see that it's talking about men when it's talking about breeches, it's pretty clear to understand. You know what I'm saying? It's very clear to understand. Khan, all praise to Yahweh Bashem Hamashiach Yahweh Shai. Right? Hope all is well with you, Ak, with the sister Lonnie Love, with everyone else who was on here. I'm gonna go ahead and close it out with that. This is just a quick reminder, and then there's a lot of sisters coming into this thing, right, in these last days. And like I've said many times before, if I haven't covered a certain topic on my YouTube live, instead of answering questions, sometimes it's a lot easier to be like, okay, here, let me shoot you this video, check it out, let me know your understanding and how you feel on it, right? So like I said, tomorrow I'm gonna do another live. It's probably gonna be a little bit longer, going into a few different topics. But y'all stay in the spirit until then. Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai Barakatah to all the sincere brothers and sisters striving to walk according to our Hamashiach's example and according to the scriptures, which are aligned and coincide hand in hand. If you haven't been baptized for remission of sins, now is the time to do it. Make no turn to turn to the Most High. Make no turn to get baptized.